What is going on, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Welcome to the Datascape. I am your host, ProdigyxCD, and I'm also here with the co-host, Noir Little Bomber, and we have a special guest today. Our first special guest since the relaunch of the podcast episode. He is a amazing Kingdom Hearts content creator, live streamer, and also works for the very company that he covers those games on. Welcome, Limit Form 72. How are you doing today?
Hi, hello. I'm doing great. I can't complain. A very uneventful day, as Sundays should be. How are you guys doing?
I'm chilling. I'm vibing. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because we just re-recorded this because we were like 2 minutes to the last episode, and I messed it up.
I was dying just now, trying not to laugh. It's okay because the second time is the go around. Fine.
Look, it happens. We are. I don't know. We're just gonna leave it in. It's a podcast. We're vibing. we're gonna leave that voice cracking I just had too. But yeah, so
it lets them know that we're people too.
We're indeed people.
Indeed.
But yeah, so today, guys, we're going to be discussing a lot about Kingdom Hearts. We are going to be talking about Kingdom Hearts 3's hype cycle. We're going to be talking a lot about Limit Form and his journey throughout the Kingdom Hearts community, which has been... I've watched a lot of that journey growing up. Limit was one of those content creators I watched growing up when I was like in high school, in middle school, like watching him and the Key Keepers going to PAX and doing all these crazy events. And now I am fortunate enough to call Limit Form a friend, met him IRL. We went to Smash tournaments together. I don't know. It's been a pleasure, knowing Limit, watching Limit, grow as a creator, and just, I don't know. He's doing really well for himself. But let's hear from the man himself today. So, how long have you been around the Kingdom Hearts community? Just give, all the viewers who may not know you, the new people in the Kingdom Hearts community, just a brief, understanding, or actually, it doesn't have to be brief. Go as long as you want. How have you been in the Kingdom Hearts community? Just how long have you been around, and how is it?
Over here got me blushing and stuff. Okay, so basically, I've been around in the KH community for at least 2014, 2015. End of December 2014, January 2015 is when I dipped my toes into the KH community. I didn't really know at that time that obviously different games had different communities online. I was just always to myself. I played my own games. I had my own group of friends to play games with back in the day that weren't exactly KH related. They were more like shooters like Call of Duty and, things of that nature. But yeah, I met a bunch of people within the KH community early 2015. Dean or Soralum One is definitely one of them. Unification is another person. The list can go on. Door to Darkness, my friend Zonda. He is also one of the old heads who used to do a lot of content back in the day. At least at the very moment that I can think of, 1.5 had just come out, so I was making things for that, and then 2.5 came out soon after, and it's all history from that point. The community has been a joy to be around. This entire, I guess, decade that I've been within the community, there's been ups, there's been downs. Oh, there has certainly been downs, but I've enjoyed being in the community as long as I have. It's nice meeting all these different people who share the same passion for playing KH as I do, if not more. It's crazy because I didn't think a world like that existed back in the day when I grew up playing KH. I didn't have many people I could talk to who played KH as well. So that's really what I guess cemented my wanting to grow as a content creator, because I can talk to more people and share that passion as a result. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Man, you're getting me nostalgic, mentioning a lot of old friends in the community. Well, not old friends, we still know them now, but they're still around. Even though people don't upload videos, they still exist. They're here. Mm-hmm. They're doing their own thing in life.
No, dude, you had me shed a tear listening to that. That was deep.
Hey, man, it's been a long while, but I mean, I've enjoyed every minute of it. I'm not gonna lie.
But before we get into like the deep, like the super deep stuff, like in
Mm-hmm.
regards to the meat of like the Kingdom Hearts 3 hype cycle, which I'm sure you would consider like a big part of your growth and a lot just the Kingdom Hearts community's growth period. Uh, how did you get into Kingdom Hearts? Like, what was that like for you getting into the franchise? Like, what age were you? What made you decide to go out of your way and do content for this franchise? Like, what were the puzzle pieces, the foundations that would lead to like where you are right now?
I love that question because I never really get to answer it. But I first started playing KH. Well, actually, no. I'll say it like this. Back in, I guess, a few months before KH1 released, I saw a commercial on TV because I was just sitting in the living room with my mother. We were watching TV, and then I saw the commercial. I saw Mickey, or I saw Mickey. I saw Sora, Donald, Goofy. I saw these characters. I'm like, wow, that looks really cool. And I turned around. I literally looked at my mom. I'm like, you know, can I get that? Can we get that? And I didn't come from like a wealthy background for it or whatever, so I only had so many games back then, and I didn't really ask for all that much, despite that. So it's like when I turned around and asked, she was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Which made me really, really happy, obviously. So I think we went to the store. Did we put a pre-order in for KH1? It's been so long. I was like 6 or 7 when KH1 released. I am now 28. But it's as you can tell, it's been a very, very long time. But basically, my mom took me to the store one day. Uh, as KH1 released, I picked up the game, and then I took it back home, and it has been history ever since. I played it religiously, nonstop. I played each and every game on release. Each game that came out from that point on, I made sure to try and pre-order said game if the pre-order was available. I did extra chores around the house to make sure I had enough for the games when they actually came out. And then I don't know. It's like when I got out of high school, because I already knew I wanted to do content creation. When like way before I got out of high school, but I was like, I'm not gonna have as much time as I do at a later point, in my life. So let me take it upon myself to actually go out of the way and make some YouTube videos, whether it be Let's Plays or tutorial videos or anything KH related. And I did so, and that's how I got here. So shout out to Mom for taking me and getting me KH1 when it actually released, because had she not done that, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't know Noir. I wouldn't know you. I wouldn't have the group of people that I know. I wouldn't be where I am today without KH and my mom miraculously taking me to the store to pick up the game. Like, it is crazy how that happened.
Man, it's crazy how like the smallest little like things or games can really just have a tremendous effect on your life in a positive way. And I want
Mm-hmm.
to kind of bleed into that a little bit. If you're like comfortable answering like just one question
Of
regarding this,
course.
like
Yeah.
you nowadays, this would lead to you working at Square Enix and being like, and you told me that you mostly were able to get into that position, you feel like, because of your experience being a creator, being a community advocate as a content creator for the game beforehand, and other Square Enix games. So it really would like have a drastic effect on how this things will play out for you. So that's like, congratulations, like seriously,
Thank you.
on all your success and
I
just where you are
appreciate that.
today. It's really inspiring to see. I also want to backpedal a little bit from that
Mm-hmm.
and go back to that like time period after high school, because I feel like to talk about your journey as a content creator, we also have to mention who were like, I guess, the super big content creators back then. All of you really, and the key keepers, the Gamers Joint, HMK, Soralam One, Volt Edits even back then, and like how how exactly would you come to meet those creators, like collaborate with them, grow your channels alongside each other, and like how was that community experience? You guys did PAX meetups. How was it? What was the relationship like with the key keepers, and what was it like back then? And what was it like nowadays?
It was a magical time, I will say, just because I was able to finally meet people who shared the same passions that I had, and I guess same experiences with case that I have, because it was really rare for me back then. But I would say that I met Dean. I want to say either I can't remember the exact month, but I'm pretty sure it's December 2014 or January 2015. I was added to a random Skype call, I believe, or a Skype group. Dean happened to be in there. Unification happened to be in there. Door to Darkness happened to be, and then there's a few of our friends who are not content creators who I still talk to today, obviously, who were also in the call or in the group. And I don't know, we just kind of hit it off from that point. At least me and Dean specifically, because he would ask me about KH related things, and I'd ask him and his experience with KH, and we kind of just bonded from that point. And then obviously we had other passions in other games like Sonic or what have you, like other different games that we played, especially during the PS3 era that we obviously shared a lot on. So I would say, yeah, early 2015 it was Dean, and then eventually we just started making content together because we were like, why not? We're friends. Like at that point, like why would you not make content with your friends? That's like one of the bigger parts about content creation, or one of the more funner parts for it for me personally. But after that point, I think let's move on to Jared, or the Gamers Joint, however you prefer it. I remember reaching out to him myself, asking if he wanted to collaborate. I had to have been a very, 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 I'm still a small channel, obviously, but a very small channel back then. I don't even think I had 100. No, I had like 200 subscribers at the time. And I just took a shot in the dark. I'm like, he seems really cool. I really enjoy his content. He was one of the first people that I looked or watched, other than Dean. Dean was the first person. But I reached out to him through, I think, Twitter at the time. And I was like, hey, I really like your videos. You seem like a cool dude. If at any point you'd like to work together on something, let me know. And to my surprise, he got back to me immediately. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do some videos together. And then, from that point forward, we would do videos every so often because, we just had so much fun working together and, talking about KH that it was just a pretty common thing back then. And then obviously as a result of that, I would get to know Sky and HMK as well, and we all just kind of hit it off. And we're still friends to this day, and we talk every so often. When we can. Obviously, everyone's really busy these days because you got your own lives to live. But that's pretty much how I got to know all of the key keepers, and we all became friends through that, as well as the PAX journeys back in the day. We would always make it our prerogative to try and make it out to PAX East 2015, 2016, 2017. And then I think we stopped trying to go to PAX, and then because we realized, we don't have to go to PAX in order to meet up and hang out with each other. So that kind of put a stop to that after a certain while. But then we started going to other events like E3. There was the KH3 premiere event that happened that we were all invited to, that we all went to and had a great time. And I don't know, it's really nice to be able to look back on how I was able to meet some of my biggest influences and actually become friends with them as a result of just making content creation together, and just loving KH. Like it's crazy. It really is nice to think about, and it's nice to reminisce on it. I hadn't really thought about it until you asked me, but I don't know. I feel very blessed to be in the position that I'm in right now. And also very lucky because I don't know. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's really weird. It's really weird.
Trust me, I get it, and I don't feel like a exact similar way, but I like similar-ish. Like as in, I wasn't there with you guys when you guys were like doing all that, doing PAX, doing the premiere events. I was still in high school trying to figure out like how do I get to like
Yeah.
where you guys are, and I gotta follow up and say like I'm so blessed to have a lot of these people be some of my friends, and I would say like mentors in some ways too, like to look up to in terms of the content scene. I know a lot of people sometimes like these new Kingdom Hearts fans, and I love Kingdom Hearts fans period, but sometimes like they don't give a lot of like credit to the old YouTubers who like got us here, you know? Like you had the Biscuits, like old speedrunners who were posting like the 2FM fights when no one was uploading them on YouTube. Like shoot, you have the Key Keepers, a little bit Form Unification, who are like keeping y'all like up to date on like the news and the content, making some quality videos when no one was really making content on Kingdom Hearts. Like occasionally you have a big YouTuber talk about Kingdom Hearts, and 90% of the time it was, oh, the story's confusing, and then they'd like never make a Kingdom Hearts video again. But like these people are like actual Kingdom Hearts channels. But like I don't know, you have to give credit to the people who got us to where we are with Kingdom Hearts to like popularize it on like the internet and stuff. But I gotta say, just as a comment, you were one of the first people in the world to play Kingdom Hearts 3. And this was like way before they were hired at Square, by the way. Nothing to do with that. They like Square Enix invited Limit, the Key Keepers, a bunch of content creators at the time out, but still a limited amount of content creators out to play Kingdom Hearts 3 before anyone else in the world would get to. And you guys got to play the Toy Box demo. I believe, was it just the Toy Box demo, or was it also a little bit of Olympus as well?
I think it was the Toy Box demo and Olympus.
Yes.
So like how does that feel? Like you're one of the first people in the world to play that game. Regardless of how controversial the game would end up being, you're one of the first people to play just this blockbuster hit of a game.
I was speechless. I want you to know, when I was seeing all my friends get invited to the event, I'm sitting here on my computer like, dang, I wish that could be me. And then long and behold, a day later, after everybody else, I get an email from Square, and they're like, yo, we want to fly you out and, you know, to the event, and we want to invite you. And I'm like, I'm just sitting there. I got a tear in my eye. I'm over here jumping up and down. I don't think I've ever felt so excited in my life, other than the fact that, I got the email of them wanting to hire me on to the actual company.
I can imagine. I could tell. Like, I could just tell.
It must be nice.
Dude, I could just tell. Just like I can tell you're like smiling ear to ear in the background.
I was gone.
You remember that moment so vividly when you got that email in your inbox. It was like, bro, what? This is me.
I could not believe it. I was in awe. I've never felt that way in my life until that point. I was starstruck, but I don't know. It was amazing to be able to go to the event and play it, because not only were a bunch of my friends there able to share in that, it's that the event itself was really, really nice. They gave you little goodie bags of like, I think it was like a thermos. They gave you some keyblades, like little keychains or whatever. They had a stand where they gave you sea salt ice cream, man. Like, what? They didn't have to do all that. They didn't have to do all that, but they did it.
We have to give a shout out to Square Enix for like all that, by the way, because even though like I think I only had like maybe 500 600 subs at the time of the premiere event happening, but that Square, okay, I feel like nowadays when you see because in being an influencer, being a content creator, is kind of like blown up like crazy. It was still really big back then, but like I'd say that was before still. But Square Enix didn't only invite like these YouTubers with 1 million subs or 100,000 subs. They invited like everyone who were like big figures in the Kingdom Hearts community at the time, like big, small, whether you had 5K, 10K, like if you had a following for Kingdom Hearts back then, Square Enix, like, I don't know, they invited them out to that event, and it was like, I feel like that's the part of the event not many people talk about, because that's like crazy, dude. Like they were really watching like the little guy out there and inviting them to that event. Like that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, hold on. I'm curious, because we know that Limit played the Kingdom Hearts 3 demo before the game came out. John, did you ever have a chance to play the demo?
No,
before it came out? Because I actually did.
I did not, because all the events that were near me. I mean, dude, I was 17 when that happened, so I had to like beg family and stuff to if to
Yeah,
take
no,
me and
I
whatnot. And
totally get that.
even outside of that, I was in an area where like I wasn't super close to a gaming event where I would have been able to play a Kingdom Hearts 3 demo. So funny enough, I did get to play the KH3 demo, but after the game already released. So I was like, I went to PAX East in 2019, and it was like 2 months after Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, and I'm just there like, the KH3 line for PAX, even though the game was already out for 2 months, still had one of the longest lines for KH3, a game that was already out, which I thought was pretty impressive. I was like, what the heck, bro?
Yeah,
These
no,
people know this game's out.
so I remember I was fighting tooth and nail trying to find a place where I can play the demo, because I had no money at the time to try and fly anywhere, so because I really wanted to go to E3,
Yeah.
because I was so like desperate to try and go to E3 that year, because I'm like, the Kingdom Hearts content creators are gonna be there. It's gonna be my chance to meet them in person, right? I knew that I knew that Lim was gonna be there. I knew
Yes,
that
sir.
knew that Jared was gonna be there. I was like, I need to meet these guys in person, right? And unfortunately, it was just too last minute for my parents to try and like fly me out there, because obviously I didn't have any money at the time. I was a broke college student, so they were like, it's just way too last minute for us to try and do anything. So I was trying to find all the different events where a demo would be there, and eventually I heard about this one event called Day of the Devs, which was like, it was meant to be just like a small event in San Francisco, which is like an hour away from me, for just like small like indie game developers showing off their works. But I was notified that, oh yeah, we're gonna have a Kingdom Hearts 3 demo there. The second I heard that, I bought a ticket to there, and like I got a ticket to ride on a ferry from like near my town to go into San Francisco. I planned out my whole route for that day. My whole route for that day was dedicated around getting to that Kingdom Hearts 3 demo. And the thing is, it was like an ungodly long line. I didn't realize how long it was till like I stepped in it, and then one guy was like, "Hey, back in line's way over there." And luckily, because like I had limited time because I had to get on a boat to get back to my town. Luckily, I went up to the front and I asked the people running the demo. I was like, "Hey, I gotta jump on a ferry pretty soon. I can't be here too long. I only came here to play this demo. Is there any way I can maybe like play it really quick?" And luckily, the guy who was at the front of the line, who was supposed to be next, he was like, "Oh yeah, I totally understand. You can go in front of me." I am
That's really
still
nice.
grateful to that man to this day.
Hey man, that
Right.
guy. Shout
He's
out
a
to that
goat.
guy.
He's a goat. Whoever that guy is, shout out that guy. Because I played the Olympus demo, and I had fun. And honestly, I went back home. I was like, you know what? I'm good. I'm satisfied. I got to play Kingdom Hearts 3 for a little bit. I'm satisfied till the game drops.
The first time I ever got to play any Kingdom Hearts game early, it's not a KH3 or a Dream Drop or anything like that. I got to play I got to play the Melody Memory demo when Square Enix like was sending that out to content creators, which that was like the first time I felt like, man, this YouTube thing, this content creator thing, I'm getting noticed. I'm getting noticed by my favorite company. Or like I'm that was a moment that I like really appreciated a lot. And after that, like Square Enix would help me out with like even more games, Kingdom Hearts related and non Kingdom Hearts related. Uh, I never really expect anything, to be honest. I kind of just like, if it happens, it happens. I'm all right. I wouldn't say I'm like the best networker when it comes to content creation, because I'm always kind of like the type of person who thinks to myself, like, man, maybe they notice. I don't know. I sometimes get like that. What do they call it? What's the word for it? Like imposter syndrome a little bit when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, I feel that.
But yeah, like it's It's really, I know it must have been such a surreal experience getting to play Kingdom Hearts 3 before like most people did. I know people were fiending for that. There were some areas where like it was playable at GameStops and Walmarts and stuff like as like a month out before release.
Yeah,
That was quite a time period. But to ask you another question, Limit. So like how would you say the community was? This is a very common discussion in the current Kingdom Hearts space among like fans who have been around for a long time. How was the community then, and all of its memories? KH3 hype, during Dream Drop Distance, 2.8, the remix era. How was the community then versus the community post Kingdom Hearts 3? Like the Union Cross fans and like Melody of Memory. This, what's the difference? What are like the key differences in the eras to you?
Well, one key difference is there's more fighting nowadays, more so on Twitter, but that's just because Twitter is Twitter. Like, what can you say? But like, in the old days, it was a great time. Yes, there was still fighting every here and there on whatever discussion topic that you can think of. Of course, there was from time to time, but it was never as bad as it is today. It was actually a pretty magical time to be a KH fan, if you ask me. Like, everyone was, all in anticipation, all eyes on KH3. We were all waiting together at like 2 a.m. sometimes for some trailer to drop, some 30-second trailer to drop. We were all focused on a common thing. And even if it wasn't KH3, we had the remixes coming out. We had 2.8 coming out. It was a nice time. It was a great, fantastic time to be a KH fan back then. Now, I mean, it's still fun to be within the community. I'm never gonna say the community is like just terrible, non-redeemable, community. There's all sorts of types of communities out there, and I don't think that type of fighting that you find on Twitter is unique only to Kingdom Hearts Twitter. But obviously, after KH3 released, there has been a lot of fighting on whether on people's opinions on the game and stuff like that. It's a whole thing, and people not agreeing with each other. This whole mess. But I will say the earlier days, man, sometimes I just wish I could go back because I just like to experience all the hype and stuff again with everybody.
Yeah. Well, would it be the same though if you knew what the result was going to be?
I don't think it would. Well, I mean, even if there was no fighting, I don't think we would ever have that type of experience again. It's like once you experience it once, it's done. Like, obviously, there'll still be hype for upcoming games and things of that nature, but I feel like you can only experience that and have that type of connection with everyone once. In terms of waiting for a game like KH3 to release. So
this is a common like nostalgic quote, but I will say one thing. Like, we've talked in the background a lot about community and whatnot. You I'm sure you know a lot of my takes and stuff on that. I think one thing I will say, back then was definitely simpler. Back then was definitely simpler. Even if I think certain aspects of the community are better now, back then was definitely a lot simpler, because
a lot less to worry about back then.
Like, and what I'm not just going to say that and just not explain. I think what I mean by that is, back then the community, even with all of everyone's divisiveness and faults, because even back then, believe it or not, people loved Kingdom Hearts 2. Like, people loved Kingdom Hearts 2 back then, Kingdom Hearts 1, and people didn't like, some of the Osaka games we talked about in our last episode of the podcast. If you hear motorcycles in the background, ignore that. Just I don't know that people near my apartment act crazy. But anyways, people talked about like the Osaka versus Tokyo team debates even before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. And there was a little bit of divisiveness over that, but even with that being a big topic, everyone kind of was united about Kingdom Hearts 3, because everyone had this hope and everyone had this kind of like, they had this idea of what Kingdom Hearts 3 could be, and it gave them comfort. And during those little moments when a trailer would come out, when news would come out, I think we had a lot more moments where we were together. I think nowadays it's harder to think like that because yeah, we've had some games come out with Melody of Memory and we had Union Cross, but with Melody of Memory, it was a rhythm game. Like
Yeah.
people talk about Kingdom Hearts side games often, and not to like bash on Melody of Memory. I love Melody of Memory, but Melody of Memory is probably the most like spin-off of a Kingdom Hearts game we've gotten. No
Yeah.
offense to anyone who loves Melody of Memory. I love that game. I've been streaming it all week.
Same.
That game is great, but that game is probably the most side game we've gotten for Cage. And then with Union Cross, even though Union Cross and Dark Road hype has been so good, I love that story. We all love the story in here for Union Cross and Dark Road. Most people don't experience the mobile game stories, and we're already after like it's barely been like 2 years since those games have ended, and we're already asking for remakes and remasters for those titles because we know they need them. Even during we were asking for that. So
it's so blatantly obvious though. It's so blatantly obvious when you like with people not knowing the Union Cross story and not experiencing it because they're like, oh, it's a phone game,
yeah,
right? Because after Kingdom Hearts 4 dropped, or like the trailer dropped for Kingdom Hearts 4, and Charlotte Zia was shown in the trailer.
Yep.
People are like, "Who's this mystery girl?" And me and John were like, "Dog, are you serious?"
Exactly. It's like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was not surprised at that at all. But well, I was surprised with Charlotte, but I wasn't surprised that people didn't know who she was. I figured that was going to happen. But like,
I was disappointed.
With Kingdom Hearts 4, like I think because we've only had one Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, Kingdom Hearts 4 hasn't had an opportunity to bring people together as much yet. Kingdom Hearts 4's trailer hit differently for a lot of people. Obviously, it's not going to be the same as it was with Kingdom Hearts 3, because Kingdom Hearts 3, I don't think any Kingdom Hearts game will ever have the anticipation Kingdom Hearts 3 had ever again. At least not in the same way. Maybe the game after Kingdom Hearts 4, maybe Kingdom Hearts 4 does get that hyped up based on worlds it reveals or whatever happens, but I don't think like Kingdom Hearts 3 I don't know, it's Kingdom Hearts 3. Like I don't know how else to explain it. Like that game, Kingdom Hearts 2 came out in 2006 is all I'm gonna say about that. Like
yeah,
we were wanting Kingdom Hearts 3 for a long time. Regardless of when it was announced, people wanted the idea of a Kingdom Hearts 3 started after Kingdom Hearts 2. That game like kind of almost transcends time to a degree. So that's why emotions are so crazy about that game. But I have hope that when Kingdom Hearts 4 maybe we'll have some of those moments again. Staying up for trailers or waiting for trailers, and like we'll get to relive a little bit of that KH3 hype train that a lot of people think of so fondly. Because a lot of the people on Twitter, on Instagram, in Discord servers, like shoot, us to a degree, we would not have met if it wasn't for the Kingdom Hearts 3 hype train. I think that's confident for a lot of the Kingdom Hearts creators. A lot of them would not have met if it wasn't for Kingdom Hearts 3's hype cycle. So I think with Kingdom Hearts 4, we're still very early into its like marketing and whatnot. So hopefully, as we get more stuff with Kingdom Hearts 4, I don't know, community can come together a little bit more. But I don't know, man. It was definitely simpler back then. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
I think honestly, when it came to the Kingdom Hearts community, I guess you could say I first joined the community back in 2014, 2013, because that's when I really started making more videos towards Kingdom Hearts. I started noticing more Kingdom Hearts content creators, because I think out of all of the Kingdom Hearts content creators, Sky was probably the first one I ever watched, because it was it was about the Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer, like the first one that dropped, right? And I was watching like his compilation of different content creators, or different people on YouTube, seeing their reactions to Kingdom Hearts 3. But honestly, and maybe because like I wasn't too involved with the community as I am now, but like there wasn't really too many issues with the community as there I guess you could say there is now. Because I know that like when I was joining, it was all about the Kingdom Hearts 3 hype. So everyone was unified with this idea that we're finally getting Kingdom Hearts 3 after years of waiting. We're finally getting it. Let's start all the speculation and the hype for it. And like while we're enjoying it, let's also play these HD remakes, which I didn't initially get to play because I didn't have the PS3 at the time. Uh, but it seemed more unified than it is now. But obviously now with Kingdom Hearts 3 and the controversy that came with that, the community is somewhat divided. And I think people like John, they're really trying to bring the community back together to like this united front where like it's okay to have a different opinion on different things because like obviously that's just gonna exist no matter what. But you know, let's try and stay a solid community.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to coming out of 2019. That 100% was my goal. I want to unite the community, or I wanted like not be the sole person to do it, but I want to help like ease, I guess, tensions. I wanted to be a channel where it does not matter what game you cover or what Kingdom Hearts game you like. If you like Kingdom Hearts, it's safe over here. Because Twitter was that volatile back then. Nowadays, my I'm never gonna say I don't want to unite the community, but I guess I'm tired. I'm freaking tired, bro.
I can't say I blame you.
I love Kingdom Hearts. I love it like so freaking much. Like words cannot describe how much like each of us love this franchise in here. Mm-hmm. But man, at this point, if you like Kingdom Hearts, you like Kingdom Hearts. If you don't, you don't. That's me at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's been me this entire time. Like, regardless of your feelings on the matter, it's like I just don't have enough time in the day to worry too much about someone else's opinion when it comes to Kingdom Hearts. You either like it or you don't. And I still respect you regardless. It doesn't matter. Like, go about your day. Do what you got to do.
It do not matter the event. It do not matter the video. It does not matter anything. Like, on this video, there's probably going to be someone who sees KH3 in the title and they're going to comment, man, yeah. KH3 was the worst game I ever played in my life or something. Like, I don't know. But I love the community no matter what. I know we're like kind of talking a lot about the community and stuff, but I love the community. We all love the community. No matter like how toxic it gets, this community is like a second family to me, genuinely. Like, you guys raised me when I honestly felt like I wasn't, I don't know, I'm not going to get into all that, but you guys raised me during a time where things were a lot more volatile in my life. So like I needed you guys, and even though I didn't realize it at the time. So I love this community a lot, just a lot. But something I wanted to ask you, Limit, to transition topics. So you and Sorolam 1 back in the day. For those of you that don't know who Sorolam 1 is, if you've heard us name a person called Dean in this call, or in this podcast, that's Sorolam 1. Sorolam 1 is Dean. We play Smash together a lot. Me, Limit, Dean are all on the Smash grind. We're trying our hardest to become the best Sora players we can be. But Limit and Dean had a series I used to watch back in the day called the Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix Level 1 Death Challenge. And I used to watch this series. And the last episode of that series, as far as I'm looking, I don't think I missed any episodes, was 7 years ago. You guys never finished it. What's going on with that?
What year was it 7 years ago? Like, what was the date 7 years ago when we stopped?
Let me see. It was August 24th, 2017.
Okay. So if it was 2017, I'm pretty sure 1.5, 2.5 had just, hadn't they just released for PS4 at the time?
Yeah. Like a couple months ago it had, yeah.
Yeah, and then that's why we did that, right. Okay. Around that time, I'm pretty sure that Dean had a lot of things going on, just life-wise, that we had to take care of, and we just never got around to finishing the thing. But people have been begging and asking to bring it back. It's not coming back, I'm sorry to tell you.
Bro, but come on. What about as a live stream though? Like,
what, as a live stream? Yeah,
I
can bring the idea by Dean and see what we can do. I mean, at this point, I feel like if we're going to do that, then we might as well just do regular, like, I don't know, races of the, or like do a rando race or something. That's
It
usually what
all
we do
leads
these
back to
days.
rando with KH2 now. All roads
I'm like,
lead
well,
to rando.
you know, if we're gonna play the game, we might as well just play rando at that point. But I mean, I can swing the
Fair
idea
enough.
by him and see how he feels. But yeah, I mean, life came up and we just didn't get around to finishing the series, unfortunately. But it was very fun. And there's one specific moment, I think, in either the last one that we uploaded or the one before the last, where he died on 1,000 Heartless when he had 5 Heartless left to kill. And it was so funny. But, you know, I digress. It was a great series while it lasted.
Yep.
I probably would have found it that funny if I was him. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, he was screaming. But that was the best part.
Dude, 1,000 Heartless fighting KH2. That was one of the most iconic moments in the franchise.
I agree.
For the first time you experienced it. Playing it on Critter level 1 after the fact is
it's pain.
not the same experience. I'm gonna put it like
pain.
that. So I want to talk a lot more about your content and like the future. We've talked a lot about the KH3 hype cycle. We might talk about it a little bit more, but so nowadays, you switched your content formula. I know you're a very busy man in life, but I know you switched your content formula to try and do more like video essays, with some live streams on the side. You haven't uploaded in a couple of years now since the KH4 reveal happened, but before then, you were uploading these timeline videos, and
Yes.
one of your biggest videos on your channel is the complete Kingdom Hearts timeline explained, and the second one after that is the complete Drakengard timeline explained. What made you want to go this route with your content, and like what was your plan in the future regarding content creation? Because I know you want to come back, as you've talked to me about before.
Of course. So back then, I believe I had an idea that came to me as I was just sitting down one day, and I was like, you know, I think it'd be a really cool idea to recap all of the games and make a timeline video before KH3 released. I was doing a lot of procrastinating back then, so I finished it, I believe, the day of the Japanese release. It was the day of the Japanese release, and then I think 3 or 4 days later it came out for the rest of the world. But I don't know, I just had an idea. I was like, let me see how I can do this timeline video, and I think it would do well, and I think it would be really, really helpful to those who need a refresher instead of having to play through all the games. And long and behold, it did pretty well, I would say. And then after that point, I was like, I should extend that idea to other series that I have a real passion for, such as Drakengard / Nier, or I also did one for Final Fantasy XIV, at least the first expansion. But I don't know. I think I've always preferred to do long form, like video essay type content and or timelines. Because I think I transitioned off of doing guides and tutorials. So at the same time, if I have the passion or the drive to do guides and tutorials on a video game that I enjoy playing, then I will do so. But judging from what I enjoy right now, and I guess looking towards the future, I haven't uploaded, like you said, in about 2 years or so, or ever since the KH4 reveal trailer, because not only have I been busy with life, I was previously in Colorado, and I was previously with Epic Games / there's a child company that they I guess acquired called Super Awesome. I was influencing marketing manager there for like 6 months, and then I got an email, which started my journey here at Square Enix. So I had to move from Colorado to LA. Within like 2 months, I had to pack up everything that I had, and my parents basically drove me there, and they drove back. And I don't know, I've just been working every single day. Not every single day, obviously, outside of weekends. I've been mostly working every day and just trying to grind my career and trying to further my career, as well as I'm trying to finish my college, which it will be almost done here in December. So once December comes around, I plan to come back. Well, I might do it before then, because I have a real motivation to try and get back into content creation. But I know for sure that by the time December rolls around, I have a lot more free time in order to dedicate to content creation and streaming. So when it comes to the future of my channel, I would like to try and do timeline videos again. I have a part 2 to the Cage timeline video coming up that I would like to, upload sometime in my lifetime. But outside of that, timeline videos and I guess discussion videos from here and there, and doing videos with other content creators, of course. I would also like to get back into streaming again. I think it's been even longer since I've streamed, but with the idea that I have for my streaming, I don't want to just boot up and just play a game and just talk with chat. The whole old thing that people they like to do, just boot up a game and talk to chat, and nothing really gets accomplished. I kind of want to make a production out of my streams for when I go live. From time to time, I would like to have a more simple stream where I'm just chatting, literally just chatting section, and just talk with chat about plans and life and stuff like that. But most of the time, I'd like to make a big production out of it. So previously, I did Kingdom Hearts Jeopardy type streams where I would hold a competition with various Cage content creators and hold a Jeopardy game. And it's been really fun. It's been highly regarded as really positive. And I was like, well, I should probably do this with other games. It's not just Cage. So I will probably do that when I have the time. Outside of that, obviously, I will probably start playing games that I haven't played for the first time on stream. Because lately, I've been playing some games that have been widely regarded as some of the best games on the planet, hence FF9, FF8, other types of Square Enix games, or just other games from other companies in general that I didn't play growing up. I recently played FF9, one of the best games I've played. That game is goated, and I just wish that I had shared that experience on stream. So I'm thinking when it comes to older games or newer games, say Cage 4 or any other Cage game that happens to come out, I'll just do my playthrough on stream. But most of the time, it'll just be a big production. I'm sorry for the long-winded explanation, but I know I've been having a lot of thoughts on how I wanted to handle my content, and we've talked about this before privately ourselves. But I don't know. I'm really looking forward to getting back into it. I'm doing a lot of prep to make sure that actually happens this time around because I don't want to stay gone forever. So yeah, if I can just find a good balance between content creation and my career, as well as trying to get to be a very, very good Sora player in Smash, I'll be very, very happy because that's all I care to do currently in life is to get better at Smash and content creation in my career. That's about it.
Dude, I have no doubt in my mind that anything you try and do, you're living it right now. You're doing great. You're doing amazing. Your content, especially some of your more recent content, with the explained videos, I know that you have a certain standard for yourself that I know viewers resonate with. Cause I know you're not gonna come back and upload some mid. You're gonna upload some peak because you've been uploading peak. You've always uploaded peak. So we're here to support you no matter what.
I'm glad you have the confidence in that because I'm definitely afraid.
In regards to Smash, I can't gas you up on that because I'm competing with you too.
Yeah, that's true.
There can only be one number one Sora player, and just saying,
it's crazy.
It ain't the other two in this call.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be me. I promise you.
I'm sorry. I love fighting games, guys. I love fighting games. Also, regarding dude, the podcast, one of the reasons I started this podcast is because modern day YouTube definitely likes, short form content and highly edited and retention stuff. You can do video essays too, but I talk a lot. So podcast is great. This is the one aspect of my channel that I just have I have fun with every aspect of my channel. This is the one aspect of my channel aside from streaming where I can just ramble and talk, and we can all just talk and ramble however long we want. It's a podcast. We vibing.
Yeah, true.
Gaming. But so as we head to like some of the final segments in this podcast, I got hit with the hard hitting questions. If you're ready,
Oh.
are you ready? You all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we know about your history with the Kingdom Hearts. We've been through your journey with the Key Keepers and the community then versus the community now. But there's one question we haven't. I know the answer to it, but there's one question we haven't talked about yet.
Uh-huh.
How do you feel about Kingdom Hearts 3?
How do I
Ooh.
feel
I'm sorry.
about Kingdom Hearts 3? That's definitely a deep question.
That's a loaded
That's
question.
that's a loaded question nowadays. How do you feel about Kingdom Hearts 3?
Okay. Let me. How do I want to word this? Okay, so basically, how do I feel about KH3? I feel like KH3 is. I was gonna put it on a number scale, but everybody's number scale tends to be different, so I'm not sure if I really want to do it that way. But I will say, I do enjoy the game. I wouldn't say that I enjoyed enough that I am constantly getting on to play through it as I would KH1 or KH2. Granted, I don't get on to play those games a whole lot either these days. But if I'm getting on KH2, it's because of Rando. If I'm getting on KH1, it's because I want to feel that nostalgia that I had when I first played the series. I haven't had that experience with KH3. Granted, I haven't had that experience with most of the games outside of the numbered titles, but I will go back to play them from time to time. KH3, I said I was going to give it a number scale, but I'm going to bring it back. I would give it a solid 7 out of 10 for myself. Probably, I could probably be comfortable with 6 or 7. It did a lot of things right. But I also believe that it did a lot of things that I didn't really enjoy all too much, if you could say that. Granted, most of those things were fixed and knocked out of the park with the Remind DLC.
Love Remind.
I know a lot of people don't like to say it, but just like, granted, no, that's an interesting thing, because I want to bring this back around and ask you both. A lot of people say that, and a lot of people like to make the point that base KH2 and KH2 Final Mix are two completely different games, because KH2 Final Mix added a lot of things to, that base KH2 did not have. And I think the same can be said to KH3. I think base KH3 and the Remind DLC are two different games. At least they feel like they were made by, I guess, different teams, if you really ask me. Because I just think that they really went above and beyond to really nail down how they want to, handle the future of the series in terms of like combat. I would say story, but they also made the story a lot better for base KH3 for me. It actually increased how much I liked the story of KH3 due to how Remind tackled the things that we didn't know at that time. But I don't know.
The Remind the Remind section of KH3 Remind was just pure fan service. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it definitely was. That's probably most of the reason why I liked it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie. It was definitely a big part of it.
Expecting KH3 to be, and that's part of what like at this point, like people probably wanted more fan service in KH3 than they actually got.
Yeah,
probably.
So, and honestly, so to respond to what you had said, Limit. So about Kingdom Hearts 2 and 2 Final Mix, and then 3 and then 3 Remind. To an extent, yes, I agree to that. Because when you look at Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, it revamps like the entire game, and then adds the post game stuff that Kingdom Hearts 2 like base game didn't have. And the Remind stuff, it does that as well, but also you also have to remember that a lot of the abilities and extra stuff like Oathkeeper and Oblivion and the abilities you get after beating the game, that was added as an update. So even if you don't purchase the DLC, you still get that in the base game. But I do see what you mean, and I do agree with you to an extent for that. Because I've had this discussion with people before on, because they a lot of people wanted to argue with me that it wasn't fair that I allowed Kingdom Hearts 3 to give itself another chance with Remind, and I essentially scored it differently based on how I felt about Remind, and I mentioned that, well, Kingdom Hearts 2 did the same thing with Final Mix. So I think like it's just what Square does at this point with the Kingdom Hearts games. So they release the game that they think the fans would want. They try to do everything that they think that the community would like, and honestly, they hit the mark most of the time, if you ask me. But obviously, no one's perfect, and so when there's flaws in the game, we as a community speak out about that. And Square Enix does the right thing of listening to us. So they hear our complaints, they hear our criticisms, and they make adjustments based off of that. And I think that's so good for them to do, because Kingdom Hearts 3 was, like, in my opinion, base Kingdom Hearts 3 is second best in the series. It didn't beat Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix when it initially came out. But when they release things like critical mode and some balancing issues, I'm like, wow, like they are really taking the criticism of Kingdom Hearts 3 and trying their best to improve it as much as they can, and they're doing it as free updates, so you don't even have to pay extra to improve the game. And then obviously Remind, freaking goated. I spend a lot of my free time just fighting the Data Ores in Kingdom Hearts 3 or fighting Yozora, because it's just that good.
Now, see, that's an interesting point you bring up, too, because it's like, when it comes to the update that came, I mean, it technically came before Remind, but it came with Remind, I guess you could say at the same time, because it's like, if you ask me, I don't think Remind and Limit Cut, fantastic things. Fantastic DLC. There's a lot of people who didn't give Remind / Limit Cut a chance due to their previous experience with Base KH3. But it goes back to the point of, I remember having a conversation with Dean, and he brought up a good point where it was like, they basically had to do that update before Remind or along with Remind, because had we gone in with old Base KH3 gameplay into Limit Cut, I'm not sure it would have worked. I feel like you would have. I just don't think it would have worked at all.
The fluidity would have been very.
The fluidity,
off.
the cancel windows that were improved, the improvements, the finishers. It's like it would have not have been as good without that update. So I do think that the update and Remind kind of go hand in hand with each other, even if you don't have to buy Remind to experience that update. You also kind of do in order to get the full scale of it, because Base KH3, even with the update, is still Base KH3, and I'm pretty sure that you can't unlock those abilities until after you've beaten the game.
Yeah, you have to beat the game
all,
and then load it up
your
as
moveset when you press Remind.
Okay. I was unsure about that, but I'm glad I understand now. Okay.
Yeah. My brief. Oh, go ahead, Noir.
I was gonna mention that that I kind of don't like it. I also like what they did with the abilities in Kingdom Hearts 3, because like they give you those nice abilities, because I remember I was blown away when I first saw those abilities in Kingdom Hearts 3. Like how fast Sora's combos were, and like his new combo finisher was chef's kiss.
It's so good.
Right?
Yeah.
So good. I liked how they add that as soon as you beat the game to let you know, like, hey, if you're gonna move forward with this DLC stuff, put this crap on, because you're gonna need it.
Yeah.
But I also don't like that it's only available if you beat the game, because like I definitely would have preferred if like what they did with Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, where they rearrange and reshuffle the abilities throughout the base game, so you can get a lot of you can get a lot of the cooler abilities just by playing through the game. But essentially, you gotta play regular base Kingdom Hearts 3 in order to get all of the cool extra stuff that they added.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not necessarily a fan of that, right? Because even even though Kingdom Hearts 3 is my favorite, I have made it very clear to other people, even if I like something a lot, I will criticize it if I feel like there's room for criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. My whole take on like base KH2 or base KH2 versus Final Mix and base KH3 versus Remind is I think base KH3 is basically the same, but it definitely still feels better because those cancel windows they add to moves like Speed Slash, Triple Rush, mostly the finishers, you definitely feel it throughout the base game because they were not there before the update. So base KH3 combat, even without the Remind abilities, did get some like quality of life adjustments in the base game. I think with KH3 it's a little more fresh, so it's a little easier to say that like they're two completely different games. But even if I feel that way, I would say it's closer to a different game than 2FM is. And
I would say that, yeah.
I think because base KH2, while there are many combat differences, like many, I'm gonna use the word combat pacing, fluidity. The pacing of combat in Kingdom Hearts 2 doesn't really change much regardless of the abilities you have. With Kingdom Hearts 3, the pacing of combat is a lot faster with the new abilities. So, like, even though KH2, for example, has new abilities, the actual speed of the combat doesn't change to a significant degree from base to Final Mix. And I'm not just going off of, like, old school me playing, like, the PS2 version when I was, like, a little kid. I'm going off of right after, because this was an argument people made back then. I went back and played Kingdom Hearts 2 Vanilla. I know a couple people in the community did, just revisiting KH2 Vanilla to kind of have a different perspective on this debate. And I do feel like not having limit form is very felt. Get what I did there? Not having limit form. No, let me stop. But not having limit form is definitely felt in base KH2. Not having I know some people talk about like quick run and dodge roll. Like quick run still has iframes, but dodge roll just feels better. So I think like that is felt for sure, even though quick run is a good dodge in that game. Plus you have reflect still being broken. So you have plenty. You're not missing like any major defense options in KH2. Like nothing you wouldn't be able to handle because you don't have dodge roll. Yeah. So Final Mix in KH2 mostly just fixes his post game. Kingdom Hearts 2 had a really weak post game, minus Sephiroth. Sephiroth fight was really cool, but way better fight than Dark Inferno. But it's still like the same equivalent. Like you only had one post game super boss, and pretty much nothing else to do. Final Mix for KH2 had added so much. The data fights, Lingering Will, the mushrooms. It added a lot. It did a lot for KH2's post-game. Because after you finish KH2, like, there's a whole other avenue of content to explore. And now KH2 has that with Remind. So, for me, I also think... I'm sorry for giving this, like, weird gray area answer, but it's only because... people who watch the channel, and if you're watching this podcast, maybe you're new to the podcast, but if you're not, if you're like a big fan and you watch a lot of the content, you know I stream KH3 a lot. Like I just beat KH3 this week with the Xion mod. Like I beat this game like every couple of months, or like sometimes depending on my mood, like multiple times a month. So, and I'm playing through the base game typically, not always Remind. Because I'm showcasing mods, or I'm just playing through to do like a challenge run like level 1 or critical. I think base KH3 and like the vision for that is a lot of what Remind would explore more of. It almost feels like what KH3's combat could have been with its form changes and with like all of its abilities was finally like expanded upon in Remind. Like the word I used in 2019, or the phrase I would use loosely, was I feel like Kingdom Hearts 3 had so much potential with this combat in the base game that they didn't let be used. That's kind of why I would exclusively play critical. I would exclusively play level 1, because I wanted the challenge to force me to use more of the game's mechanics. Now, if you're someone who only did the one proud playthrough, or maybe even the one crit playthrough, and then just didn't play the game again, you wouldn't really have the same like feeling. But from someone who played the game multiple times and like played level 1, played crit numerous times, more times than I can count, it's probably my most played Kingdom Hearts game now. I feel like the vision of what the combat was just expanded upon, and it had room to breathe in Remind. It didn't have room to breathe in base KH3 because Dark Inferno, like, you don't have to do much. Like, you're not getting much out of Dark Inferno in terms of like utilizing air steps or utilizing form changes or Firaga loops and stuff. Like, people didn't even discover Firaga loops with RV until like the data org. Or I won't say people didn't discover it, but it wasn't like a common thing that was known about the combat.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with some other mechanics. Like, Yozora forced you to use a lot of things that KH3 had like perfectly, and even people who aren't fans of KH3 would say that that's one of the best fights in the series, if not the best secret boss in the series, and it's because it utilizes Kingdom Hearts 3's combat mechanics. I think it's the biggest issue with base KH3, that Remind didn't actually change a lot of that. It changed the pacing of the game, it sped the game up, but a lot of the actual mechanics were already there and were just used. So, is it a different game? Yes and no. I'm gonna put it there.
I would say that base Kingdom Hearts 3, and I think the developers learned not to do this with Remind, but with base Kingdom Hearts 3, I will say the most accurate way I can describe it is they focus too much on being flashy rather than having fluid combat like with Kingdom Hearts 2.
Maybe a little bit. I'd agree. We had that discussion a lot in the last episode, I think, and I sort of agree, but I also think Kingdom Hearts has always been flashy. Even in Kingdom Hearts 1, I would argue Kingdom Hearts has always been a game that's wanted to be like flashy. Like this, Kingdom Hearts has always been a spectacle game, but
Yeah.
was it more spectacle in 3? I'd probably say yes, because attraction flow and like mechanics like that. But yeah, moving on from like the Kingdom Hearts 3 stuff, the final topic I wanted to I wanted to kind of cover a little bit. How do I word this? So we talked about the community beforehand, and we talked about Kingdom Hearts 3. We talked about this a little bit just in general with the community, but do you feel like Kingdom Hearts in the future is going to get better? Like, do you think we'll get another game like Kingdom Hearts 2 again, or like regardless of what their favorite Kingdom Hearts game is, do you think we'll get another Kingdom Hearts game that everyone can just universally be like, okay, I love that game?
After what they did with Remind and, well, I guess mostly Limit Cut, but what they did with the DLC, it kind of tells me that they know what to do and they know how to handle it. But whether or not that's going to be shown in a future game is up in the air, just due to the fact that this is not the first time that this has happened. It's the second time, because when it came to, I think the first time was 0.2, and they showed that they could, like, the team could really make an amazing boss fight with Zodiac, Phantom, Aqua. That fight, I love it so much. It is,
is locked behind garbage, though.
It's locked behind absolute trash. But the fight itself is very, very, very good.
Yeah.
So with that, to me, that told me, yo, KH3 combat probably gonna be pretty good. Like, it'll probably be in a decent area. And it was, but it wasn't to that extent. But then they made the DLC a year later and completely overshadowed that fight, IMO. All the fights that they made in Remind or Limit Cut are some of the best fights that we've ever gotten in the series. So I know that they can do it if they want to, but whether that'll be, and then like if they can make a whole game like that, you know, if they can make a game that could really appeal to everyone,
yeah,
I'm not sure, because I'm not sure if it's
too divided now. You think?
I don't know if it's too divided or not. It's just the fact that it's hard because as a company, you want to prioritize getting as many sales as possible and appealing to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So they were able to, I believe that they were able to do that and above with base KH3. At the same time, it kind of left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, old and new fans, really. So I'm not sure how they're going to handle it with future games going forward. I would like to think that they've learned what works, what doesn't work, and go from there. But I guess the real decider of that would be how Cage 4 is, right? We're
Yeah.
just gonna have to wait. I can't really give a concrete answer because it's like I like TLDR. They can do it. I'm just not sure if they will. Like
Yeah.
at least right off the bat.
We could be in a Cage 4 situation again where base combat's like super easy, and then we have to wait
Yeah,
till DLC for hardcore fans to have fun with the combat. Because despite me loving Kingdom Hearts 3 and the story and the combat, I felt like my biggest issue with base Cage was Remind completely fixed. Like it blew it out of the water. Like I forget if I mentioned this in the last episode, but I did not actually have that much faith that they would scale the bosses to level 1 or to critical mode to like level 99 files in Remind. So I went in with the level 50 file because I did not like Osaka has not shown me that they scaled bosses.
Yeah.
And they did. They surprised me. So I was like, oh my gosh,
really
hold up.
They did so many good things and put a smile on my face the entirety of the DLC.
I just think that like one thing they need to put the crazy boss fights in the story too. Like Limit Cup's another tier, but like I don't think KH2 kind of does it, but not well. KH2 does it to less of a degree. Like KH2 has the cool orc fights. It has Zemnis at the end. It has these humanoid bosses, and even outside of humanoid bosses, it has like these cool fights during the story. Kingdom Hearts 3 has some cool fights, but a lot of the time it's like these big mob fights that you don't really have any attachment to. Like I think they're cool, but like the only Heartless fight that I think is like super crazy is probably Skull. I like Skull a lot. I know not everyone agrees with that. I think the Frozen boss is really good. Lump of Horror might be up there too. I like Lump of Horror, but those might be like the only two memorable like Disney bosses for me in the game. I think they need to mix in like some of those orc fights, some of those like I think they need to mix in some of those fights during the story. I think KH3 had a nice little tag team thing going on at the end, but it just felt too brief sometimes. And I think people want to have those moments be like as memorable as like KH2's was. Really in every game after Kingdom Hearts 2, like most of the story fights are like the really heavy hitting fights, like the Zemnis Fine Dream Drop, the orc fights. I mean BBS kind of did it, but I don't know. Like you get what I'm saying. Like a lot of the big crazy fights were kind of saved towards the end. I actually think in retrospect, Birth by Sleep does a decent job at that. But that's gameplay stuff. They do. Like Birth by Sleep actually has Vanitas fights throughout the story. You have Zigbar, have Master Ericus. Birth by Sleep actually does a decent job at that. I'll give credit to Birth by Sleep.
They do, and that brings up a point that I want to bring up. So the first one I want to bring up is what you were first mentioning about the Guardians of Light helping you out in the war.
Yeah,
I definitely was. My personal expectation was to like play as them. Like Remind does that, but I was expecting Base to do that. Like I'm playing as these other characters fighting the war, because that way it doesn't feel like Sora is just carrying everyone.
Yeah.
It feels like a war on all fronts, and like with that, like I do like how the characters play off each other, but I was definitely expecting a little bit more from the Guardians being involved. And another thing I want to bring up is, so one thing that Kingdom Hearts 3 was definitely missing, that a friend of mine, Xavier, he pointed out to me, because he mentioned that the first two games did this, but Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't, and that's a good midway point. That's a good like a halfway point, because Kingdom Hearts 1 had a good halfway point of like Agrabah. That's the halfway point, because then that's when you actually defeat someone that was So let me explain. So
you threw me off saying Agrabah instead of Traverse Town too.
I was definitely confused. Go ahead.
So here's what I mean. Because like basically once you finish a certain part of the game, then like the whole dynamics shift during the story. So in Kingdom Hearts 1, when you finish Agrabah, you've actually defeated someone that was working with Maleficent. You've created a dent in her plan. Like that's the first time you actually do that. And then it's after that point that Riku starts getting in your way and you start facing off against more Maleficent's henchmen. That's the halfway point. And for Kingdom Hearts 2, obviously it's the revisit to Hollow Bastion with the Battle of a Thousand Heartlets. Because the whole tone and dynamics of the story shift following that because of the lore drops that happen during that. So like so that's what I mean by a good halfway point. Kingdom Hearts 3 didn't really have that. They had intervals in between each world that kind of like progressed story a little bit further, but there was no point in Kingdom Hearts 3 where it's like, oh, there's something going on at the Mysterious Tower, we need to go fight someone there, or there's something going on in Hollow Bastion, we need to fix that world again. So that's what I mean by that. So hopefully Kingdom Hearts 4 and other main title games, they have a good halfway point that like it doesn't always have to like have a strong shift in the dynamics or tone or themes like for the story moving forward from that point, but I feel like there should definitely be a point where once you've hit it, it's like, okay, now we're really moving forward with this story. Now we're actually like making serious dents in the villain's plans or something along those lines.
Yeah. I agree. I not to this is gonna be the last thing I'm gonna say about the KH3 topic. I agree completely on that. Well, I feel like KH3's pacing wasn't bad in my opinion. The whole intervals thing after each world, slightly during at the end of each world, I thought that was a decent way to slowly introduce Sora, reintroduce Sora to these organization members, and also talk about the three hearts within Sora, which was a big plot point throughout the worlds. I think that was a nice little lead up to the end, but I do think KH3 was missing like a really big heavy hitter in like the middle. So I definitely agree with that. I think it would have done nothing but benefit from having one like that. But we this podcast has been going on for a little bit now. Not that I have a problem with that, but Limit, how shoot, how did I word this? My brain's like fogging. Do you have anything else you would like to say? Because it is getting late.
Not really. I do appreciate you guys inviting me onto the podcast. I don't like I've said numerous times, I don't have as much time as I would like to dedicate to, content and things I actually want to do lately. So being able to sit down and talk with you guys about KH is something that I do appreciate more than words can really, tell. So again, thank you guys for inviting me. I do appreciate it. Hopefully we can get together and talk about KH again, soon at some point.
Heck yeah, dude. Anytime you want to come on,
hell yeah.
DM me, hit me up. You're always invited onto the podcast. But with that, everyone, that's going to be about the end. I highly recommend you guys check out Limit Form's channel. Thank you for being the first special guest in the relaunch of the Datascape. I think this was a really good episode. I had a lot of fun talking. So I do think we might have went on with KH3 for like a little look at the end there. But that's natural. Anytime you bring up Kingdom Hearts 3, ooh.
It just happens, you know?
It happens. We know. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out. I'm your host, Prodigy. This has been Limit Form 72 and Nora Little Bomber, and we will see you guys another time. Remember to be nice, be safe, and
subscribe.
Take care, everyone.